let's just sew whatever. Hello everybody, today we are haphazardly making a backpack the night before I leave for a trip. It's currently midnight. I need to be out of the house in 6 hours probably, but are you a bag maker? If you don't make a bag literally right before you need to leave for something, I don't think so. Enjoy. We are gonna get into sewing up this backpack. I'm starting with my 3 zippers. I need 2 14-inch and 1 like 24-inch. If you wanted to add more zippers, you absolutely could. The longest one is going to be a double zipper. So we're gonna add 1 pull to one side, flip it over, and add the next. I am using a zipper jig tool that I designed. I don't carry it anymore, but I have seen a lot of cool like 3D printed jigs that clamp on the table, so I would recommend those. I don't know that I would recommend the plastic tabletop ones, as they're prone to fall, break, etc. And if your skills don't allow you to put it on by hand, you're not going to be able to like easily hold that thing in place, etc. But you can absolutely put pulls on with your hands. Just saying. All right, I've got these prepped. Set it aside. I'm gonna work on my straps for the bag. So we're gonna need strap pieces, foam, and a little bit of webbing. I'm gonna cut 2 4-inch pieces, but you'd probably be good with 3-inch. I would just rather be safe than sorry. I'm gonna set that aside. We're gonna need more to do the like joopy part. Just no other way to describe that. Okay, 1 piece of foam, 1 strap. We'll grab our piece here. The back side has all that texture. So we're just gonna go through the top part here. I feel like I still have not used these enough to memorize how they work, but I'm pretty sure this is it. If you're concerned about it and you want to make sure you've got it just right, you can cut your webbing. I'm going to do 2 24-inch pieces. It's probably too long. It says it in the pattern, but you can always cut it a little bit smaller. So once this is on your bag, it's gonna go up through the top and then under. And so it holds on to the teeth in that slider. So I am pulling my glitter clip came off. But I'm pulling as hard as I can, and I can't get that webbing off unless I push it through, because it's got little teeth that aren't really abrasive, but they're more just texture. So I do have those correct. Those need to be on the front. These can now be set aside. And we'll work on taping all of this together. There are definitely nicer ways to make your straps, but this is very quick, so there's that. You can fuse your foam, I just don't want to. So I've got double-sided tape along the bottom edge, and I'm going to fold that up gonna fold this in half to find the center, and then fold in half again to the center line. And then this is gonna get encased in all of that. Ooh, yes. Ooh, yes. It's so squishy. So I've got this one taped, not taped, but clipped together. And this is gonna slide in the bottom into the center, and you'll just have a little bit peeking out. So again, it's not like the fanciest, it's not the prettiest, but it is insanely quick. And like, it's still gonna be puffy in the end, you know? So I will say that iThinksew patterns are, for me, great inspiration, but I don't always agree with their instructions. And if you have watched me for a few years, you'll know that about me. So if you're someone who doesn't need a lot of precise instructions and patterns, highly recommend browsing through iThinksew and finding ones that really inspire you shape-wise, and kind of having enough knowledge to know how to make it without incredible instruction. Okay. So placing that in the center. All right. Now, if you wanted to secure this in place without seeing a bunch of stitch lines, you could fold this open and do a little box stitch so you'd only see it on the back side. It's kind of a cool idea. I feel pretty confident in my materials that I don't need a ton of stitching. I'm just gonna go around the outside edge and then down the center. Like it. So I just went down the center and then down, and then I just tacked it again in place there. Well, I'm excited. So then I'm gonna turn this at a slight angle for when we attach it to the backpack. So squishy. Okay, just repeating that. So I'm starting on the open edge. And then this one needs to be cut at an opposite angle. And then we're going to do a little webbing handle, so I'm going to cut that to 8 inches, 7 inches. I don't want it to be too big. And then we're going to get our back panel out. And attach all that now. I also have my webbing connectors for the back. Okay. Okay. So we are going to be sewing across the top of the back panel. If you have not watched my cut video, you may want to. I changed a lot within the pattern. So I'm adding like a back slip pocket, things like that. Opening that, top stitching. So I'm laying that in place where it feels good, where it looks good. And I'm going to flip it over to baste it down. Cut the excess off. So I didn't quite catch it on this side. So there you have a big slip pocket to put whatever you need to in. We can take our grab handle and just kind of see where that looks good. We want to add our straps first, but I'm just making sure that this is enough of a grab handle, and I really just wanted something small, so it's perfect. And we'll line these up just at either side of the center of the bag. Like I'm off by 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to baste those down, face up. And then this, I'm going to go on either side, inside edge of our center stitching. That'll look really cute. And because this bag is finished with binding, you want to make sure everything is at the edge of the seam, but not really past it. So, oh, it looks so pretty. I'm very happy with that. So then our triangle connectors are going to be what's last to attach. Okay, so there's the shape. You want the bulk of the strap to be facing the right side edge of the fabric. Okay. I think I have it in a little weird, but I'm not worried about it. It's gonna work out in the end. Yeah, the long side should have been the open side, but it's okay. I see it now, but it's gonna work out. Do not trim your excess webbing from that. But we're gonna turn this out. Uh-oh, what did I do? There we go. Oh dear. Okay, it's not, honestly, it's not bad. It's just strange. So make sure you're paying attention to that. And this gets placed in the corner. They're fine. All right, I'm gonna keep those clipped in place for now because I have to baste my lining on again anyway. Well, not again, but I have to baste my lining on anyway. And then you can connect these now if you want, it won't hurt. And then at the very end, we can trim these down if we need to. And then I'll fold them over and top stitch. But yeah, that's our back. So I'm gonna add the zippered pocket to the back lining. Like, it's just so squidgy, so squishy. I love it. All right, one of our zippers. It's our 12-inch lining pieces. This is for our connectors, front panel, here's the back. So I'm gonna fold this in half. You can do whatever zipper pocket method you prefer. You could do an overlay, endless options. I'm just gonna do a simple, regular old right sides together, turn it out, zipper pocket. So I'm gonna start with my squaremost piece, find my centers, right sides together. You can clip that in place. And then I'll take my 10-inch zipper pocket ruler. Haha, perfect. I'm gonna start an inch from the top. I'm gonna just shave off a little bit from the sides because nobody's gonna know what the exact size was supposed to be. It's not a big deal. So that's our 1/2-inch box marked out. There you go. And I'm gonna do 2 parallel lines. The excess lining on the sides, I'm gonna leave it there when I baste it all together. I'm using water-resistant canvas, which is a lightweight lining fabric that I sell. So this will just give a little bit extra structure without having to add interfacing or anything like that. So I got my 2 parallel lines in place, cutting that open. And then we'll flip it. You can iron, just do a low heat or quick high heat. But it does finger crease fairly well. I'm going to seam roll. And then if you want to tape your zipper in place, by all means, tape it. I'm fine if it's wobbly. So my zipper tape is longer than I need it to be, and I want that to be the case. It's my preference. I'm gonna start on one side. My zipper pull is way off to the side. And as I'm going, I'm eyeballing the distance of the teeth to the edge that I am sewing. So I'm able to just kind of readjust it. And because my zipper pull is way off in the middle of nowhere, I don't have to worry about zipping it, unzipping it. It can stay nice and straight. But now I'm getting to the end. Depending on the size of your zipper pull, you might need to leave more space. But I'm going to zip that shut and close off the pocket. And now we can add the liner to this. And that's it. We don't need to leave any side of this bag open. We're going to top stitch all that lining together. I am following the curves of the bag. And then I'll trim off the excess. Unzip it to the middle, grab my back panel, flip that over so that right sides are together, and I'm lining up my center marks. And this fabric has like a little bit of stretch to it. So I'm making sure to press everything together as I go. And if my lining was off a little bit, I can just readjust it and I can trim off whatever excess I find. So I'm gonna clip that all together and then I'm gonna check it from the lining side and see how it looks. Okay, looks good. Just keep everything 1/4 inch within 1/4 of an inch, like 1/8 if you can, but no more than 1/4 of an inch. Back to where we started. So I'll grab my scissors and just shave off any of the lining sides that I can see popping through. Awesome. So moving on to the front. I lied. I'm gonna work on getting my hardware pieces and connectors sewn together so that I know where they go and I have them prepped. The wrong side of water resistant canvas shows a white cast when you scratch it. Okay, so this is going to be like a key holder, or I could even later on make a little zipper pouch to hang from it. But I'm adding a 3/4 inch snap hook, and this is just a 1.5 inch wide strip cut from a scrap. So I'm gonna top stitch down each side and then I'm just gonna fold it in half. And then these are gonna be D-ring connectors on the side of the gusset, just in case I need to clip stuff off of there. They fit perfectly within that piece, that panel up against the zipper, so I just feel like it doesn't take a lot to add, and it doesn't take away from the bag generally. So I'm just gonna chain stitch all that together. I was like, where did it go? Slide our D-rings through. And with that water resistant canvas, I know it's gonna hold up and it's not super bulky. Okay. So there's that. And then I can just stitch down the center. And then I just do a little T shape down the center to connect it. All right. So I'm like, maybe I want to add it here. No, I'll probably add it to the other side. We'll add it to this side. So I'm putting it with that second slip pocket that I'm adding to the exterior. So we're gonna move on to the gusset now, because when I get the front done, I'm just gonna wanna put it all together. So I'm gonna sew across the bottom of these pockets. Again, in the cut video, I just made this one big piece instead of separate pieces to save time. I do want the connected seam at the bottom to be the bottom of the pocket. So I'll top stitch the folded edge, not the sewn edge, with like 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. If you were making this out of like an all solid vinyl, it'd be really fun to embroider the pockets. All right, those are ready to go. So now I've got the bottom gusset liner, 3/8 inch seam allowance, exterior pieces joined together, that same 3/8. A bound bag is really not the time to play with seam allowances as far as like making the bag less slouchy or anything. Okay. And then for the lining, don't do a butterfly stitch, but on the exterior I will, because it looks nicer. I'm not going to. I just worry about it holding up. Like your stitches are vulnerable. Depending on your material, you might need to adjust how you do that for bulk and whatnot. Okay. You could also add pockets to the lining. That would be super cute. I'm gonna set that aside for now while we work on adding our pockets to this. Top stitched edge is the top of the bag, and then we can kind of play with the placement. And I'm gonna say 1.5 inches from the top edge of the gusset, but I might refer to the pattern because I haven't looked at it to verify that. So I will in just a second. But you're gonna sew that on in a U shape. With whatever the pattern specifies for the pockets. Love how I'm like committing by clipping it into place, not even knowing. Okay, it's like 2 1/4. So I'll go ahead and slide it down. I'm gonna just do 2 inches though, because I don't want it too close to the bottom. All right, a U shape, 1/8 of an inch from all sides. If you are at all worried about your pockets at the bottom, you could do 2 lines of stitching. But I think it'll be fine. So cute. So there's that part finished, and now we can work on the top part of the gusset, which is gonna get my double-sided zipper. Oh, it's on the bottom of my pile. So the front of my bag is a little bit smaller. Again, if you did not watch my cut video, I widened this bag by about 1 inch, and then I offset the zipper panel so that it's not as wide in the front. I don't know why, I just like it that way. And I cut my zipper tape longer on purpose. I want my zipper pulls to just be way off to the side. Line those up, and that is close to a 3/8 inch seam allowance as you can, but 1/4 might be the best your machine can do. And then we'll open that up. Fabric is so strangely thin, but like in a fun way. We'll see how it holds up. If you want a really structured gusset, you could add a little bit of Decaville Light or foam. My zipper's a little wavy. That's okay. Okay, other side of the gusset. Zipper pulls in. My D-ring connector's on. I want them to be pretty low into that seam allowance, so I've got like an inch popping up on the top edge there. Flip that over. Repeat on this side. Now we can trim that 2-inch extra zipper tape off and grab our lining and exterior gusset pieces. Right sides together. If they don't quite match up, that is okay. You will be able to kind of trim it all together to meet in the end. All right, so all of that together with a 3/8 inch seam allowance. I'm kind of cheating and doing a 1/2 inch because I want to make sure that my gusset is not too big. I want to snip my gusset to fit into place. All right. And then I'm gonna top stitch. I prefer to not top stitch through my lining. I will only top stitch through my exterior. And the only reason for that is if my lining for some reason is a little bit bigger, I haven't top stitched through it, so I can adjust a little bit. I'm loving that pop of pink on the gusset. Just a little pink, pink. Okay. So we can cut this apart where I top stitch together. And we can line this up. So I'm lining up my center seams where they're joined together, not where they're top stitched, because that is a little bit different for mine. Okay, once I have those in place, I will lay my gusset flat and just either clip everything together or just see how it feels like this, and nothing is bubbling in a weird way. So I'm gonna roll it and top stitch up here and just a 1/4 inch, no more than a 1/4 of an inch, all the way around. I'm just barely pulling on that. Okay. And repeat that on the other side. Again, I like to start at the bottom with the gusset, not the zipper, just the bottom gusset. And I'm using this hand to flatten everything. Ran out of bobbin. Okay. Just cleaning everything up and making sure it looks good. I'm going to trim down my excess lining. Again, I rough cut my lining, so I knew there would be excess, and I was okay with it. So if you're not okay with it, don't do that. I'm going to find my top center, lining up my pockets, and I'm going to clip that, snip it. Because right now, I can go ahead and add my finished back panel to my gusset. And I'm going to, because then I'm not going to get sides flip-flopped. I'm just going to double check. This is my cargo slip pocket. This is my exterior compartment, front pocket, front lining. Yes, everything that's in this bin pertains to what I'm adding to the front or the front lining, so I can just not worry about it. Here is the back. This will be a good time to know if it all lines up or not. So the back is the widest part, so it's going to go face down, lining up my center snips. I'm going to add a few clips to the top. And then I'm going to find the bottom center. And clip that. All right, it looks good. So I'm going to start at the top curve because it's less extreme of a curve, and just go around. I let the bag hang off the edge of the table so that I can easily get the clips on without moving my fabric. Okay, and now we're in this bottom curve, and you can see, good Lord, it doesn't quite fit. That's totally fine. I'm gonna snip it a lot around that curve. It might not give me that entire space, but that's okay. I don't need to fill it. This bag is finished with binding, and it won't be the end of the world if it's lost a little bottom curve. It'll be fine. So I can pull and stretch it to place. Now, if things really don't seem good, you can clip the top curve as well to get a little more space. Because believe it or not, it really does work. You just don't want to cut into your seam allowance, like longer than your seam allowance. And this is going to prevent any weird puckering within that seam. So yeah, truly, now I'm off by maybe 3/8 of an inch, which, you know, I took with the larger seam allowance on my gusset, so that was on me. It should have done the 3/8, but I wasn't sure. But you can see it's not much I have to trim off. It'll be okay. So I'm going to continue with those snips at the top. Into that curve. Where did I start? Up a little higher. Okay. Another thing you can do is adjust it so that you can see just the smallest amount of your exterior fabric when the gusset is right side up, and that'll give you a couple more centimeters of leeway. Yeah, I would say that this gusset fits very well the way that I've cut it. So I'm going to go ahead and sew that in place at 1/4 inch, and then we're going to add a 3/8 inch binding. Back to where we started. Go to your spot, Ben. So we're going to trim off a little bit of excess, and I made sure to make it consistent. Thanks, Ben. Good assist. Okay, and then any other excess, oh my gosh, Ben. I feel like I should have listened to my intuition with the 1.5 inch, because like the pocket is just at the bottom corner, which isn't a huge deal, but that's not what I wanted. So I'm gonna go ahead and bind this super quick. I'm just gonna use pre-made binding. Woo! Okay, I'm gonna bind this with a pre-made 1-inch binding. Just wrapping it around the edge using double-sided tape. I use 3/4 inch wide. And this is my preferred method. I know there's like the waterproof canvas method. I did used to enjoy that. There's also the like cut the waterproof canvas a little bit bigger, sew it on, flip it around, and then cut. And then I also have a wider binding now that you can do that same kind of a thing with, but this is what I'm best at. So I just find the center, clip it around. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm gonna move into it tonight. I have been using, if you've watched some of my videos, I made an experimental tote, and I've been using that thing for my work bag, and I love it, but it doesn't have any kind of a closure, and we're going out of town to a convention, so I really want something that's gonna be a little more secure, something super lightweight. I'm gonna put my Louis waist bag. I don't think I filmed it, but I did a quilted Louis waist bag. I'm gonna put that inside of it with a couple of things so that I can just take that out as I need to as well. Okay, that back in place, and then 3/8 of an inch all the way around. And I like to use my screwdriver to help me press the binding into place while I'm sewing around it. And my favorite thing about the binding I offer is that it's not so thick that it's adding bulk while you're sewing around it, especially on a domestic. But it's still gonna add structure to your bag. Okay. I'm gonna flip it. I'm worried I'm gonna be a little disappointed that it's lopsided, but you know, I wanna make sure that I caught all the seams of the straps. I did. Okay, I think everything looks good so far. Yeah. So it really adds just like such nice structure. Okay. Moving on. Can't get too excited. Caught up. Got a lot more to go. I feel like less than the back side, but we'll see. Okay, I'm gonna do everything but the cargo pocket on the front first. This is gonna be the last thing I do, because all this other stuff is gonna be super fast. Be real quick. Okay. So I'm gonna grab my lining first, right side up, just to finish this off. This is like a big giant slip pocket that I've cut out. I'm just gonna sew along the bottom. It's either the bottom or it's the top. We'll find out. I'm gonna make it the bottom. So I don't need to top stitch that, but I will the top. Okay, I'm gonna do something kind of crazy. I'm gonna sew across the bottom. It's about 1.5 inches or 1.25 inches from the bottom edge. I'm gonna sew that in place. Okay. And then I'm going to kind of angle it to meet at the top, so that the pocket is a little bit 3D. So you can see here I've got some overhang, and I'm just going to turn that so that it isn't overhang at the top. So it's just barely a 3D pocket. And then I'll trim off the excess on the back. You can see, if you wanted to sew down the center, you could, but I'm wanting to maybe put a laptop or an iPad in here, so I don't want to do that. But I think I'm gonna angle this in the top like that. Not quite tip top, but close. And I'll trim a little bit of excess. Okay, so that's my lining front. Set that aside. And now we're gonna work on the cargo slip pocket for the front of the bag. This is gonna go under the main compartment. So I added double-sided tape to the top and bottom. This is water-resistant canvas, which can fray over time. So if you do not want any raw edges, you could use a liner. Not a big deal. I'm not that worried about it. So I'm gonna stitch across the top edge. I might not make it a sectioned compartment. Okay, I folded that at 2 inches. I'm gonna sew the side. Fold that at 2 inches and sew the side. Yeah, that's good. Okay. And then this is gonna get folded under to match. So that it flares out. Okay. So, got my center marked. I'll fold this to the center. I'm only finding the center so that I know where to place this in the center. We are not going to be sewing down the center at all. And then once it's in place, I'm going to lift this up. I'm going to fold the completed pleat out of the way and sew down that raw edge. And press that back into place. Make sure everything is still where I want it to be. Flip it and repeat, lifting the pleat out of the way and only sewing on that unsewn free edge under. Okay. So that, like I said, that does leave us with the raw edge. I probably could have folded it under a little bit, but if you want to, you could add a binding strip over it. But then we'll sew across the bottom edge now. So now you see it's like a big pocket that kind of compresses. I like it because then I can put my phone in there or like my wireless charger, lip glosses, and it'll hold quite a bit. And this is under the front pocket, which it's time to do. I've marked out the box. I have right sides together, and I am just doing 2 parallel lines. Cut it open. I wonder if I can do right sides together, put it all together, fold it under, instead of having raw edges in the top corners, top and bottom corners. But also, like, is it that serious? Probably not. Okay, I'm unfolding that under. And I don't want to see any of that pink popping up from underneath. I am gonna cut into this corner a little bit more. You see how it's puckering? We don't want that. Man, I don't know if I can. It'll be fine. All right, so this is the zipper we want. Oh. It is the exact length currently as this pocket, and I want that. So I'm gonna line up the edge over here. Zip it as close as I can to the edge. Start at the top. Making sure it's centered. And then bring that zipper pull in. All right, so now I want to cut my zipper tape like 3/8 to 1/4 of an inch smaller than the outside edge, and use a lighter to make it stop fraying. And then if you want, you could take a little piece of binding and cover that edge so that you know that it's not going anywhere. Next step is to put right sides together and sew in that corner. And then we'll fold all of that under. The other thing I was thinking was to put right sides together, and then put it together. But I think this just keeps it from being saggy, essentially. trying to think of another way to do that. Like taping it like this all the way around. Maybe it could work. All right, right sides together. I'm gonna leave a little bit on the edge unsewn. I'm gonna do those darts and then we'll figure it out, because I can always sew them a little bit more if I need to. Let's just see. Because what you're supposed to do is fold it under and then sew it on and hide that raw edge. Now I'm thinking, what if I clip it all together along the outside edge and then sew the dart so that that's the raw edge. So let's see if that'll work with this one. Bless you, babe. Bless you. And I am kind of folding it so that I can see my exterior fabric. Okay, so like it will work, but then that corner is raw, but I think it's fine. So yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna fold it and then add my dart. Looks nice. Okay. And like, this is a pocket on the front of the bag. If it's not perfect, it's not gonna matter. You're gonna have it full of stuff. It's never gonna look absolutely perfect. So yeah, I would say go ahead and tape this if your machine doesn't mind tape. Do your exterior first. Fold that down. And then line up your lining. I'm really glad I didn't use a waterproof canvas. This fabric is thin and flexible, so my job isn't too terribly difficult. At this point, I really should just use tape, but like I'm too in the zone to stop. could have even added some kind of pocket. These poor clips have been so abused recently, to the inside of here if you wanted. I told myself I was going to go to bed early and everything tonight. I didn't do it. If you cut your zipper, please just make sure you use your lighter. Okay. All of that is together. Right sides together on those corners. Make sure your exteriors are lined up nicely. And then I might trim off the excess within those corners. We got one more to do. I'm not cutting it too short at the exterior edge. Otherwise, I'll risk it fraying over time. Oof. Yeah, I'm glad I did that. That looks way nicer. It's not as easy, but like I'm gonna have to tuck under some of that in a weird way. Okay, now I'm going to find the center. Just going to use the silver marking pen on the lining side. Do that same thing for the bottom. All right, I'm gonna start at the bottom. I'm lining this up about an inch from the bottom edge, and I'm just gonna do a little line of stitching. I'm probably gonna sew over this twice if I can. Just to really connect everything and make sure it lasts as long as possible. Okay, so I've got the bottom edge sewn on, and then I'm going to then fix the pocket, like manipulate it where it needs to be, and I'm going to continue on the side of the pocket. I think it should be probably about an inch, again, from all sides. You can use pins to line it up if you need to. This is tricky. It's tricky to line it up just right on time. It's tricky. Oh, is that? That pocket inside is like truly just the right height. Okay, so I'm gonna do both of the sides first. I haven't sewn the corners at all. There are lines in the pattern to help you line it up, but clearly I'm not doing that. So I'm gonna go up until the zipper. And if you need to use a ruler, you can. Top of the zipper. Now this side, I'm starting at the top of the zipper. Eyeballing about an inch away from the side edge. Okay, while I've got the foot resting in place on my layers, I can readjust ever so slightly. Ever so slightly. Okay. Okay, and this is going to be a good time for me to go all the way around and connect it together. I just went over the bottom stitching, but I back stitched here. You're not going to see the bottom, so I'm not worried about it. You can also pull your stitches through the back if you want, tie it off, but now we have just one area to worry about now, which is the top. I have my center marked out. I've got my center lined up. Now I'm like, is that the center? Stand up. Okay. I'm committed. Let's do it. Hopefully it's fine. Because it's on. Like I said, I am gonna go around a second time. Front pockets. So stressful. I don't think it's bad. That needed to be down lower, for sure, so that it was a little bit more square. But there is not a thing I can do about it now. I also don't know that my darts were very even, so that kind of plays a part too. But I think it's good. Like it's an interesting curve, but like it still works. And then this pocket is more hidden, so things aren't necessarily going to fall out, but it lines up just right. Cool, 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 cool. All right, so I'm going to add my nameplate. I almost feel like a metal nameplate is going to be too much, but it is what it is. Nameplate. I'm using a metal nameplate. This fabric is so thin that I'm going to use fleece to back the nameplate. I'm really worried this bag is going to look super lopsided in the end. And I can just hear people being like, well, that's why you need to cut your pieces straight. And like, yeah, maybe. Oh, it's so good. Foam would have been a good backing option as well. It's all good though. But yeah, I was thinking I'm gonna add a little bit of heat to this, or even just double-sided tape, so that it doesn't poke through. I'll just tape it. So now we're ready to add our liner to this. Line up those bottom corners. So this is also tricky because we've altered the shape of the front pocket a little bit. So you kind of gotta flatten it out and stretch it a little bit to meet. Oh my gosh, that's so cute. Oh. Four clips. Okay. All right. So we're gonna top stitch this facing up. I'm gonna start in the corner with the clip because I know it's in a good place. And then no more than 1/4 of an inch basting, but 1/8 inch is preferred. I've got a little excess lining in my corners. I I just want to trim that to meet the shape of the front. I really don't think that the size discrepancies is gonna show up in the bag because it's such a slouchy bag, but like I'm really excited for the shape of it. I do just wish that were like an inch lower though. It's cute. I'm convincing myself it's cute. But we're ready. Okay. Bottom and top centers are marked out. Make sure that stays inside. Right sides are together. Did I snip my gusset on both sides? What are you, new here? Right sides together. Luckily, if I don't like this, I think Dorothy will. She'll be like, Mommy, I want it. And I'll be like, great, you can have it. All right, snips in the zipper, gusset only. The bottom as well. Just little ones. And I am clipping with my gusset face so that my gusset will be facing up when I sew. So we'll be flipping it down like that and getting everything in a nice place. I had to trim my bottom corners, as you probably saw, so I am confident that things will line up nicely. So I'm pinching it all together and clipping. If you need to use a stapler, you totally can. No shame in the stapling game. Make sure everything from the exterior is tucked in so that it's touching your exterior fabrics. Okay. Whew. Perfect fit. Okay, if you need to unzip it now, you can. I love it. I love it. I love it. I think. All right, starting on the side, I can kind of smoosh it all down. Smoosh it down, down, baby. Okay. 1/4 inch seam allowance. Using my screwdriver to help me maneuver those layers with more force than I can with just my fingers. And then as you're lining that up, make sure you can see a little bit of your exterior from your lining side so that you know for sure you're catching it. making sure I didn't run out of bobbin. Just love how lightweight all these materials have been. Like, I don't feel like I'm fighting the layers like I do sometimes with like waterproof canvas and stuff. Okay, so trim this all down to match anywhere that doesn't. Binding one more time. Pardon my reach. I'm also really sorry for the lighting. It's not great. I probably won't edit it either just because I don't think that this is a very good... No, the pattern is fine, but like, I don't know. That's just how I feel lately. I wanted to make this for me, and I wanted to share it with you, and this is the normal amount of light I sew in so that I don't get a headache. Because when I'm filming, I definitely get a headache from the light. All right. Adding the binding is the last step. And I do it with the gusset facing up. Wrap that around. And then I only unpeel as I go around the bag. So I still have the tape attached. And I'm holding it. All right. Pulling on the tape, pulling on the binding, wrapping it around, and it's about 2.5 inches at a time that I do that. It does take a decent amount of coordination, so there are easier methods, but this works for me. This piece, I want to make sure it's sitting at the angle it needs to be at when I sew that down. It fell on the floor, but it's fine. I'm gonna clean it up later. Okay. I'm just like, I think it's midnight probably. I gotta pack up. 11:52. Cool. I'll be done before midnight. I backstitched at the little key, the snap hook, just for added security. Okay, and then before I turn this bag completely right side out, I'm just gonna check it. I caught everything on this side, but I wanna make sure that I caught, oop, my bad. Let it burn a little too long. Got soot all over it. It's fine. It's gonna dirty to the bottom of my backpack. Make sure I caught the basting stitches. Oh my god, I never sewed around that pocket twice. Whatever. Yeah, I caught the basting stitches well enough. Like, I can see some. It's my backpack. I don't care. All right. It's so lightweight. It feels like a sleeping bag. And it's actually bigger than I thought it would be. I'm not mad about it. I was thinking it would be like a cute little guy, but it's a medium size. It's definitely smaller than the Elena. It's not that misshapen, I swear. Maybe it is. So it still has a decent amount of structure thanks to the binding. I love these straps so much. Oh, I still gotta manipulate it down here. You really have to like push out the binding to make sure it's in that seam well. The back definitely seems somewhat more lopsided, but I don't know why. Okay, so the very last thing we need to do is finish off our webbing straps. And so I'm gonna try this on, and then basically you wanna make sure that your loops look good. You don't want the strap to be twisted. You know what I mean? And then you can cut this off and fold that under. You could either add like a little metal strap end, what have you, but let me try it on. Okay, I actually really like the length that I made them, so I'm just gonna fold that under, hit it with a lighter, seal that edge, and fold it under. You could do twice. Yeah, I'll do twice. So I'm just folding it under on itself twice, and I'll just run one line of stitches. I'm definitely back stitching. All right, that was it. That's the end. We did it. We made it. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks if you've made it this far. I'd love to know what kind of video you want to see next. I'd love to know if you think I overused my lighter, because I probably do. I probably do. But I gotta go pack. Go pack this cutie up. These pockets are, yeah, these pockets are lower than I totally would have wanted them. That, or they could have been taller, to be honest. And then this needed to be an inch lower, easily, just an inch lower, but I don't care. And then I've got that little pocket there, so it's so cute. All right, bye.